I actually recorded a completely different set of audio for this. I was going to go a different route, but I suspect that anybody who listens to my show, other than the Safe Food Diehards, but most anybody else that listens to the show, are very intelligent people, and I expect that some of them are not necessarily like technical people, and that's okay. But I suspect that they're very intelligent people, and they can interpret things like when I give signals that say I want a strong website, I want to see diverse, social media, and I'm looking for these signs. And beyond that, I think people are good at doing research, and I want to teach people how to fish. So I initially had recorded this whole elaborate thing about the research and all that. And I figured, I don't really even need to do that because I'm dealing, other than the safe food diehards, I'm dealing with a reasonably smart group of people across the board. I want to share this, and I'm going to do it in a way that makes the assumption that I'm dealing with very smart people other than the safe food diehards. I got to add, though, now that it seems like the TITANO diehards have to be added to this exclusion list of intelligence because I'm seeing this scam promulgating through Twitter, and I'm concerned because I tested it, and it's clear that it had to come from either A, the devs of TITANO who stole millions of dollars from that whale and failed the community, or came from people in the community because they're salty that their devs failed them, and they're seeing Libero about to launch Libera here at the end of the week or next week, and they're upset. They're pissed off. They see that Libero's trying to act like a business. It's trying to do other things. It's trying to get something, and they suspect that this listing on the CEX is huge. And as a result, rather than kind of everybody all aboard getting on the train, they figured they would build this rather elaborate scam to try to rip people off. Let me describe what happened. Like I said, I was going to do much more, but I'm just going to break it down because I think I'm done with smart people. And, you may or may not, if you're on Twitter, and I don't know if they're doing it only on Twitter or other places, but you may or may not be sent, basically somebody replies to you or replies to them rather, and your name is in the reply. That's how it comes across. There's no message there. And it looks like it's a Libero banner that's claiming there's a 30,000 airdrop. This is the scam because basically it's coming from a junk account. It's not the real Libero account. And the reason I'm not going to bore you here with it, but the point is there are signs, telltale signs that this is somebody else's account that's been on Twitter for a long time, even longer than before Libero's been in existence, if you know what to look for. We all know Libero started when it started, right? Libero started end of 2021, beginning of 2022-ish timeframe. We know this. That's fact. So when you look at the image and you see that the account that sent this thing, when you look at its profile, was created in 2010 at a time arguably before Bitcoin was even in somebody's mouth, yeah, it caused you kind of think, oh, yeah, there's something behind this. Chances are, based on the follower count, it's one of the TITANO whales. And you're like, well, why do you think it's TITANO so much, Leicester? Because I know how to test things. I'm a former auditor, so I know how to test things. I already knew it was a junk because of the site. The site, it was obvious. They were so stupid that the site goes to liberofinancial.co, but the image specifically says the site's libero.financial. So I already knew that we were dealing with incompetent people, desperate people, who just wanted to try to do something to disrupt or confuse or possibly even damage the reputation of Libero. But I wanted to see exactly who was behind this, the best I could. So I go to the site just to take a look at it, and it tells you to connect a wallet. Okay, I already know how Libero Financial's Wallet Connect stuff works. It's pretty darn solid, and it works on anything. This one doesn't work on the mobile D app, so I know that they're incompetent developers that just slapped something together and didn't know what the heck they were doing. Okay, so I know at this point that it's not the main Libero team. I go because we're dealing with the date thing of the creation of the profile. That's not making any sense, and then this garbage site. But I wanted to connect the dots, right? So it looks like it's coded to force MetaMask on the computer. So basically, if you heard one of my episodes, I talked about the fact that when you develop a token, you basically have to have MetaMask plugin in your browser, and then you would add a wallet into that, and that's how it deposits funds through the developer interface. You have to do that. So most developers that don't know what the heck they're doing, I'm trying not to cuss here, don't know what the heck they're doing, they just leave the default, which is okay, you'll just connect your MetaMask, plug in, and do, not understanding that people outside the crypto bubble don't use that garbage. Most outside the crypto bubble have the wallet on their tablet or phone or whatever, which is why you have to support Wallet Connect. Or if it's Coinbase Wallet, it has its own. Trust Wallet has its own. SafePal has their own. Like there's different ways you can connect to the wallet, but they're all based on the Wallet Connect standard. And then the MetaMask standard can be used on Trust Wallet and SafePal, but you got to know how to do it. They didn't code it to support any other wallet, so I already know that it's garbage because I know the LIBERO team is very good about Wallet Connect at minimum. They know how to connect to wallets. Their interfaces all work, especially like Epic Hero, which is like one of their oldest ones. It even knows how to work perfectly. So I already know we're dealing with incompetent devs. All right. But I need to see the experience. I need to see what this thing is. So I download the piece of garbage extension on my throwaway Chrome, because I don't use Chrome. I use a different browser. On my throwaway Chrome, I download the MetaMask extension, and I just create a junk wallet that doesn't mean anything. And I grab the mnemonic phrase, and you go then to the site, and then all of a sudden, everything changes. And it says, okay, go ahead and approve. And it gives you this phony ticker and it's designed to trigger FOMO. So it'll say there's 100 million Libero that's being distributed, and we're at 89 million. You better get in now. We're gonna run out. Do. That's basically kind of the impression they're trying to give you. All right, I still know it's phony because if you reload the page, the number drops down to 84 million. It wouldn't go backwards. It's a phony deal. So all right, fine. But I still need to see this. So I can't get the approve button to work. All right, these are really stupid coders. They don't know what the heck they're doing. There's a button in the top. It says switch wallet. Okay. Let's do that. So I click that, and it brings up a generic prompt for which wallet you're using. And when I say generic, I'm saying it doesn't matter what you choose because it's all the same code. There's only one set of code. It's just phony. It's just an image. It doesn't mean anything. So I click on the MetaMask because that's what I downloaded, and then it prompts you for either your phrase, meaning your mnemonic phrase, or a JSON, key store JSON, which comes from certain wallets, or your private key. Like I said, I'm dealing with anybody other than the Seifu and now TITANO diehards is likely very intelligent people, but I'll say it for the point of due diligence. You should never give any of those three to anybody asking. I don't care who it is. You should never give your mnemonic phrase, which is that 12-word deal. You should never give a JSON file if you're dealing with a wallet that has that. And you should never give your private key. You should never give any of that to anybody. You shouldn't need to. There's no reason to. You should never give any valid point of data other than your public wallet address if they're going to send you something. So when they talk about private, there's a reason, right? But I already knew going in they were going to ask for that because of the garbage of the portal and the fact they don't know what they're doing. All right, so I take my throwaway mnemonic and I put it in the box and hit save, and it says, okay, here's your QR code. And the QR code is a TITANO QR code. Not only is it TITANO QR code, the code is coded to send you to TITANO. So what I'm summarizing here is somebody was so threatened by Libero Financial that they built a throwaway portal designed to scam you out of your money and then redirect you to TITANO. So it's a double whammy. Number one, they're so desperate because their devs stole money from a whale, and as a result, it harmed their project. And as a result, they had to do a migration. And as a result, investor sentiment was harmed. Somebody is so frustrated, so upset about the Libera launch that's coming up here at the end of the week that they went and they spent time building this garbage to take money from people because their own devs failed them and stole money from a whale, or it was the devs themselves so frustrated that they're incompetent and didn't know how to do well management strategy correctly, and so they had to steal money from regular innocent people who are just invested in this other project over here in good faith. But the cherry on the top, they go and they say, you know, let's do it. Let's buy a bunch, because this is, if you heard me before, I said subscribers don't matter, followers don't matter. It's all about credibility of message. They went and to one of these paid services and they purchased basically shares. So they purchased interactions. They purchased a bunch of people, phony people. They're legit people, but they're not legit interactions because these are not people that are doing it on their own. They're doing it because they were paid to basically shill this by way of retweeting it to a bunch of people or quote tweeting it to the thousands. Thousands. They did it. I want to say it had to be like the 5,000 mark, 5,000, possibly 10,000. It's still going. This started like an hour ago. And there's a bunch of quote tweeting and there's a little bit of likes, but it's mostly like shares. The fact that it shares, meaning that somebody's responding and then they're putting a bunch of people's names in the thing, I know they paid for it. I suspect it's the community, but it could be the devs. This you'd have to be a desperate MF to even think that this is acceptable, and it ideally it would make people realize that whoever on the TITANO side, I don't know if it's the devs or the community or both, I don't know, but whoever over there thought this was a good idea to do this because you're so desperate when you see Libera, instead of you stepping up to try to surpass them legit, anybody outside watching should be highly skeptical of TITANO. Highly skeptical. And if anybody on the TITANO team listens to this and you say you're not part of this, then what I would expect you to do is take actions to derail it and stop it and denounce it. Openly denounce it, stop it, derail it, warn people about it, and regain your credibility, because I think either people in your community did it or you devs did it after you ripped that whale off. I don't know which, and I have no proof, but I find the timing rather suspect, and I find the link to a barcode that is yours, and I show proof of this, kind of suspicious. So if you get one of these garbage deals, just follow the fundamentals. We know that TITANO and Libero were started very recently, so they could not have been started in 2010. So if you see an account started in 2010 doing this, you know it's probably not legit. And that probably comes from a person who's been around crypto a long time, because it precedes, if I recall, the date Bitcoin really became a thing. So we're talking about somebody who's got some skin in the game. However, they're also too stupid to understand how to build a portal, and they're also too stupid to understand their own imagery, and they just rushed something out, and they're wasting their money, because at the end of the day, anybody that's already in the ecosystem already knows Libero.financial is the real thing, and anybody listening to me that's not part of these cults would understand not to do these basic things, because I keep hammering it, and I'll hammer it again. Do not give out any private anything to anybody. But also, if you were considering TITANO, I recommend that you don't. I've never said that. I said I have a problem with the devs and what they did when they stole that money from the whale. That was my only issue with them, and the fact that it had to do a migration because they're running and ducking from the responsibility. But other than that, this puts a bad light on them, and I'd like to see that they denounce it and ideally take actions to resolve it, other than trying to be salty about what Libero's doing. Let Liberals do what they're doing. How about you step up and do a better job if you can? And if you can't, acknowledge that. Maybe you should partner up with them. Maybe you should acknowledge, okay, you're doing some great stuff. Let's create a partnership and let's create a solid community. That's what you should be doing, not this salty crap.